All right, guys. Slowly but surely, I'm getting here. I'm getting closer by the day. I'm gonna meet up with a welder today to get these components welded, and then what I'm gonna do is get a bracket welded to a brand new steel drum that I purchased, and the purpose of the bracket will be to support the motor. The bracket, I'm also gonna get some L brackets welded to the base of my drum in order to affix the drum to a skid or to some surface. What else? I did some calculations. Basically, if I take my center of the drum to the periphery of the drum, I get about 11 inches, 11 and a half inches. Plus whatever my bracket is as an offset, plus 3 inches gives me my center to center on my pulleys. So I calculated the center to center at about 18 inches, which is pretty close. That's with a 4-inch bracket, or like a 4-inch offset from the edge of the drum, and an 18-inch center to center offset gives me a 66-inch belt. So I'm slowly sort of figuring out that stuff. I don't think I'm gonna order the belt until I have the bracket installed. What I'll do is I will have some lateral play in the bracket. I'll give myself an inch of lateral plays for belt tensioning, and I'll aim for about a 66-inch belt. Another thing I've realized here is you can see these bearings. So imagine you're in the bottom of the drum. This is the top. This would be the top of the drum from this point. So from this bearing down is the top of the drum. So the bearing housing and the lid are in this space. And then you have the meander plate in this space, the half egg shaped hub, and the connection to the whirl pipes. And then in the base, you see the bearing slides on there. So what's going to happen is the shaft is going to bottom out in the base of the drum. So I have two solutions. I think what I'm going to do is I'll get a sleeve, and I'm probably going to I'm going to hire out the machining components. Like, I know how to tap things, but I would rather have a professional do the tapping for the set screws and everything on this shaft. So what I'm gonna do is probably a sleeve with 1 1/4 inch inner diameter, and I will affix that sleeve to the brass shaft in such a way that it stops on this lip here, right? Now, the question is, these bearings, I mean, they're not axial thrust bearings. I think this should be what you call an axial thrust bearing here. But in order to get the machine up and running and stay, in a reasonable budget, I'm gonna stick with this arrangement. So what else? Pipes fit on nicely. These are not the ones I'm gonna use. I'm gonna make brand new ones because I need connectors, right, to connect up to the hub. So I will have to remake them, and I cannot make them threaded connections because I could, but if you'll imagine, when you slide these up, you can't twist this pipe, right? So you couldn't twist the pipe into the hub. You'd have to have a separate nut on the inside to thread it into place. I don't want to do it that way. It's too complicated. I'll do it this way, and I'll solder them. So very slowly getting there, kind of laying things out on flat to figure everything out. I talked to the welder today about welding these these components here. And also like this is a really tight fit in here. In order to get this in, I would have to bang it. So I don't know, I have to open that up a little bit. You can even see in there, it's, I don't know if, do they undersize these on purpose? Is there supposed to be some kind of interference fit? Anyway, so those fit in the pulley like so. And then you weld, I don't know if you weld both sides. Anyway, I'm gonna meet up with the welder today and get the ball rolling on this stuff so that as I continue working on the molding, forming, electroforming, this is kind of progressing in the background, because my goal would be, even without having everything put together, to at least get the pulley and the motor and the speed controller all set up and spin up the shaft and work out any hiccups in the mechanics before I have all my parts completed. I highly doubt I will have all these parts completed by, I'm gonna say the end of December, because to electroform one of these pipes takes a week. So that's 3 weeks. And then each meander plate is probably gonna take a week. So I'm gonna take my time. I'm not rushing this. I'm gonna do it properly. So there it is, sort of laid out on flat. You'd be looking in the bottom of the drum. I got a notification today the housings will arrive November 9th. So the bearing housings, I'm probably gonna have to do welding there with the bearing housings as well. It's gonna be a similar situation, but the top bearing housing is gonna fit into the drum's lid. Now it's a steel lid. I'm gonna reinforce it again. I may have something welded, some structure welded onto the lid to A, keep the profile low, B, add strength, and C, provide a strong, stable, level surface onto which I can mount the bearing housing. Yeah, so if you guys see any sort of mechanical oversights here, I mean the shaft bottoming out is an obvious one. If you have any suggestions on the bearing, like, you know, I didn't actually weigh the shaft. I should weigh it, but you know, if I was to guess, I'd say it weighs about 30 pounds. In total, the whole turbine's probably gonna weigh 30, 45, maybe 50 pounds. So I don't know if it's just gonna destroy this bearing if you were to put 50 pounds on this part here, you know, or will it even spin? That's the other thing. Will it even spin? I mean, even right now, it's kind of maybe it's just because they're brand new bearings. They need to be worked, but the other problem is this bearing is going to be underwater. So, I mean, technically it should be stainless steel, but stainless steel bearings cost a fortune. So I can't afford stainless steel bearings. The other option is to let the shaft bottom out, and then in the bottom of the drum, in the base of the drum, what I would do is machine this shaft to have like a smooth, almost machine it like a hemisphere, and then have a nub in the base, like a sacrificial brass plate, and this would rotate on that plate. Maybe you put a harder metal cap onto this, rounded hard metal cap rotating on a soft metal on the base of the drum. I don't know. Will it be too much friction? You'd have to replace that plate on the bottom of the drum. Anyway, that's something I've got to figure out. I guess I could also I could put a sleeve at the base. McMaster Car sells a aluminum 1.25 inch metal tube. So what I do is just buy a foot of that and then cut that up and have that tapped with for set screws, and then tap it right in through the brass on the top and the bottom. So on the top, I put the sleeve here. So the order of installing this would be, I would, so the bottom bearing is in, I'd install the shaft, then I'd slide down the shaft sleeve and install it in place, right? And then install the horns, slide the horns from the top in, slide the hub from the top in, meander plates, connect all of that, and then slide in the next aluminum sleeve, set it in place. Oh no, that won't work because this bearing is going to be on the outside. Anyway, I'll figure it out.